I think we'll start with the HomePod 2 because that feels like the easiest, potentially quickest. We'll find out. We'll see. I mean, there are some feelings about HomePod 2 that we might have to address, but the HomePod second generation is out. And I called it sort of the most confusing product just because the first HomePod comes out back in 2018, I think it was. $350 smart speaker, feat of engineering, sounds wonderful, just does Siri things. They drop the price after a while. It's not selling very well, and then they eventually discontinue it. The Mini, $99, lives on. It's much more reasonable for most people. So they bring this HomePod 2 back, and there are some small changes, but I'm just wondering why. Because, I mean, why discontinue a product and then bring it back? That's my main thesis behind it because it's so similar. I'll go over the actual official differences if anyone's interested. Number 1, slightly new color. Midnight for the darker one. The light color is still the same. 2, the top display is now larger and it's inset a little bit. So there's that. Cool. The cable is now removable. So remember how the first HomePod had a non-removable cable? And that was kind of weird. Now that's like designed to be removed. It actually comes in the box detached, so you plug it in yourself. If you need, in a pinch, you can use any other just cable that just plugs in. So if your cable breaks, you can go get the cable replaced, but still have a working HomePod in the meantime. Kind of cool. It has 2 less tweeters, 2 less microphones, and it still kind of stains wooden tables, just not as fast. So,
and it was only the white version, right?
That's the only one I've gotten to actually stain a table. So the old HomePod had this base where it's like, if you have the right material wood, which is like, I guess, a porous wood that's not sealed very well, and you put the old HomePod on it, within 2 minutes,
it's crazy.
You have a solid white ring on the table, which is like, this happens with this material. But because of the design, it's like all of the weight was around that ring. So Apple redesigns it a little bit. It's a flat bottom now, which is maybe a little bit worse acoustically, or maybe it vibrates a little bit more, but now you've at least spread out the weight across the bottom. But it's the same material. And so after a day or 2, it will also start to stain, unfortunately.
Which sounds longer, but in the like life expectancy and placement of a HomePod, 2 days is very short. So like a HomePod will probably stay somewhere for, I mean, months, if not years at a time.
Yeah, you just sort of put it down. I haven't moved my home smart speaker in over a year. Yeah. So those are all the sort of newest things. I mean, there are a bunch of other smaller features. We talked about Matter support last time. It has a Thread radio in the new HomePod, so it can be your hub. It does have a temperature and humidity sensor. Some observations around some of the other reviews point to it maybe not being the most accurate in the world, but at least you can calibrate to how inaccurate it is. Like it might be a little warmer than your room typically is, but that's fine. It's the new HomePod. Any thoughts on like why it's back? I kind of had some YouTube comments that brought up some things that I didn't find.
Oh,
the number one, I'll just say the number one that I found the most compelling is that the original HomePod came out during the chip shortage. This new HomePod has less overall raw materials, so it's obviously not during a chip shortage the same way it was a couple years ago, and it's also less tweeters and less microphones. And because it's now at $300 instead of $350, it's potentially a little bit easier to manufacture and make profits because of the less raw materials. And so they're just trying again. It's not going to pop off. It's almost the same product as the one they discontinued for not being a reasonable thing to keep producing, but it's another try.
That's the main thing that I saw too in terms of comments was chip shortage stuff. Yeah.
I think that Apple thought that the market was just not mature enough when they first released it. Like, I think that that's their excuse. I don't know if I don't think that's going to work for them. Most people buy the smaller smart speakers / hubs. You know, the Google Nest Hub Max like barely sold any units, and the larger Echoes I think sell better, but still not nearly as well. It's always like Google Nest Hub Mini, Echo Dot, what is the Apple one called again?
Just
HomePod Mini. Yeah, like those sell like crazy. And a $300 one, especially when there's no Spotify support on it, which, as we learned, is not technically Apple's fault anymore because they took the PR route and like allowed Spotify to get on it, but Spotify is like boycotting them, so they're not going to do it. But I mean, we just saw a headline a couple days ago that Spotify had it has its most users of all time, and that it's by far the most used music streaming service now. They have over 200 million users, I think. Yeah, I think it's gonna not do well for the same reason that it didn't do well in the first place.
Maybe not bad enough to discontinue this time, because Apple doesn't discontinue things very often. There are a lot of things that I think I look at Apple's lineup and I know that that's not selling very well.
Yeah,
but it still exists at full price in the lineup. Like AirPods Max might be an example where there's a good amount of them out there. I think people eventually bought a good amount of AirPods Max, but the current Intel Mac Pro, how many people are buying the current Intel Mac Pro? I hope it's not very many.
Yeah.
But they're still selling it, still on the site. They're still making them. It's not discontinued. So like when I saw the original HomePod was discontinued, it's like, wow, they really had to make a call here. They were like, we're not going to even make these anymore. So
yeah. I have another theory though. There was not a lot of HomeKit stuff out for like a very long time. And now that Matter is coming out and you're going to be able to use like any smart home device with HomeKit, it basically opens up Apple's home ecosystem like to a huge extent. So prior, it was like you were only really buying a HomePod if you wanted a smart speaker that was very limited to the Apple ecosystem that could only really use Apple Music. And that was very limiting.
Extremely.
But now that you can use it as like an actual smart home hub kind of situation, and it can be used with basically anything that you buy that's Matter enabled, I think that they're probably maybe projecting into the future a couple of years and just being like, if we want to compete, the number one, if people that have iPhones are going to like want to just be able to like use the Apple thing with their smart home hub. So,
yeah. I
mean, if you use Apple Music and then you can buy Matter enabled products, it kind of makes sense if you're willing to blow the money. But beyond that, I don't really see a huge...
Every single word that you said is true. But it's also true about the Mini.
Yeah.
Yes, which is way cheaper.
I do think some people are willing to spend the extra money for like the main room. Like I would be I have a regular, the old Google Home that was $120 in my living room versus the Minis, which I can like hide in little corners of my kitchen or the bathroom or the bedroom or something like that. So like if you are using it and you do listen to a lot of music in there or something like that, like for one room, maybe. It's crazy that the Mini is still $99 though.
It's 3 times cheaper.
Pretty expensive. Yeah. The Mini is actually still kind of expensive. $99 is,
it's totally expensive.
All the Google Home Minis are like what, $30?
It is, but it's way better sound and it's also got a thread radio in it.
It is, yeah.
So
I guess I'm just trying to figure out the reason to get the HomePod over the Mini right now, the new HomePod, and it's like
there's not
this
a lot
one
of reasons.
Sounds way better.
Yeah, it's louder.
So take the fraction of people who want it. I mean, yeah, louder. True. I mean, there's some fraction of people who are like, the HomePod Mini is not good enough sounding or loud enough for me. Those people should spend the money. And then that's kind of it.
They may be trying to creep up into Sonos's market share, because when you go into like high quality large speakers, Sonos eats smart speakers. Sonos eats everyone else's dust.
That is very true. Yeah. Sonos. So I have a Sonos setup. And this did seem strikingly similar to a Sonos experience for me.
Whoa.
Weirdly.
Did you hear that alliteration you just
strikingly
did?
Similar to a Sonos.
It seems strikingly similar to a Sonos experience.
Seems strikingly similar to Sonos. But no, because Siri and, oh boy, here we go.
Oh boy.
It has a little bit of a differentiator, but like with Sonos, you can just like use it with Google Assistant and there are things that you can do and it's a smart speaker. But if you have an Apple TV and with eARC, you can use a pair of HomePods as your hi-fi speaker setup if you want. No sub, but you know, it is what it is. And they'll sound pretty good. It's Dolby Atmos surround sound support, and that's cool. And plus the benefit of being a smart home controller and all this other stuff that Sonos doesn't do very well.
Yeah.
So if this like Sonos market is big enough, you could consider it also sort of stepping in that territory. That's a little bit more market share.
Yeah, because there aren't really any competitors to Sonos in smart speakers, smart speaker space.
Can you play Spotify on Sonos?
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It comes down to Siri being kind of tough.
I mean, in terms of market share, though, I think there was a really interesting stat you posted in the video that I just want to I want to just pose this to the audience and see you listed the market share of HomePods in smart speaker
At its peak.
in the US, right? At peak.
In the US, yeah.
So before I say, or I'm going to say the number, and then if you're listening, I just want you to think like, do you think that's high or low? Because I'm interested to see where
It would have
people
been
go.
it would have been a really fun multiple choice.
I wish it could be a
Yeah.
multiple choice beforehand, but leave it in the comments or something. But it's 6%.
Yeah.
So when you guys heard that, what did you first think?
I think that's high.
It sounded high.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's me too. I was like, that's high. I think I guessed 2%
Yeah.
or something when you asked
That's
me.
all smart speakers at its
That's
peak.
smart speakers in the US market share of the big HomePod.
Yeah, that seems really high.
That seemed incredibly high. to me.
Considering like Google hides Nest Hub Minis like under your doormat.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't really know how they managed to get that much market share.
Yeah.
But so then compare that now to US market share of iPhones, which is over 50%.
Yeah.
That is insane how we're thinking 6% is high for the Apple related smartphone
It's
or
just-
smart speaker that generally like you like to be in an ecosystem, right? We talk about Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, but it's so expensive for a smart speaker.
It's so
I'm just
expensive.
saying,
And-
that's what's like something is wrong here where their market share is so little when they have the head start of the ecosystem market share already.
Yes, but the iPhone sitting across the room from you when you yell at it is the exact same experience as the HomePod. Like you can just yell at Siri and have it do anything you want other than multiple timers.
I mean, you can do that on like a Pixel as well.
Right.
versus a
So
Google
that's why
Home,
I'm
but-
like, is the iPhone's dominance in the US actually going to translate to selling smart speakers? And I feel like it's not as strong of a tie. Maybe if it's headphones or other things where it's like these work best with the iPhone. So if you have an iPhone, you want to get these. Like AirPods rode that train for sure. But smart speaker like the HomePod doesn't really add any value no matter what phone you use, I guess. I mean, it's worse if you don't have an iPhone, but it's like
It's terrible if it's like unusable.
it doesn't work at all. It's not a Bluetooth speaker at all. Yeah. So I guess if I see, I'm trying to think of the list of things that HomePod offers that an iPhone user doesn't already have. It's the sound quality, it's the potential hi-fi setup, and it's multiple timers.
Couldn't you say the same about like a Pixel and Google Home though? Your
Yeah,
Pixel can like
so a lot of
activate
the-
all the things is
Yeah, the bigger one. I guess I have the one with the screen, so I picture like that being super value added. Like seeing who's on the doorbell, seeing the all the list of the buttons and lights you can turn on and all
Yeah.
that stuff. That's nice, but most people don't even have that either, so it's true.
I think
Yeah,
it's pretty
just
much
which
it's-
assistant's better.
it's an extremity of like your phone when if you're walking around your house you can still do anything you're still asking from your phone.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy that, and I would argue that Apple doesn't want to look at it that way. Apple does want to look at this is our market share of everything else. We want that to help increase the sales of our general like home smart solutions,
'cause
including
Siri's-
smart speaker.
Not good.
Because Siri sucks.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to.
Can I throw one thing in here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can't find 2022 stats. I can only find 2021 stats. I hope that doesn't make a huge difference. But we talked about old AirPod market share being 6%. Do you want to guess what the Sonos?
Oh, HomePod.
You mean HomePod?
HomePod. Yeah.
HomePod was 6%.
What did I say?
You said
AirPod.
AirPod.
Nice.
Yeah. So HomePod was 6%, and we're guessing Sonos market share of what?
Of home smart speakers in the US specifically.
I'm gonna guess 4%.
Home smart speakers. So this is the same market as before.
Yeah, so this includes Alexa. It includes
Google Home.
Google Home.
Or Nest Home,
Oh.
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's putting
3 to 4%.
8%.
That's high.
I'm going.
Yeah, I'd say 2.
Damn. All right. Well, I thought everyone here was going to be like 15 to 20%.
No.
No, it's 9%.
Oh, it's 9?
Oh.
Yeah. So
Okay.
If I were Apple, I'd be sad that I'm under Sonos.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good.
That's
for not
really
being,
good.
Like
That's
a
way
major
more than I
Sonos?
thought.
tech
Yeah,
company.
it's popular
you
for
just
its
said
niche.
that no one compares to them.
Well, for in the large
so niche,
smart
though.
speaker space, in the large smart speaker space,
Which is a tiny niche.
When you say
Yes,
large, do you
yeah.
mean like a
Physical
physically
size.
large?
Physically
speaker?
large.
physically large, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like
okay.
all their smart speakers are pretty big and like have
Right.
really insane sound, whereas like the Google Nest Hub Mini is very tiny, doesn't have a lot of sound.
Yeah.
Okay.
Echo Dot.
When you said large, I thought you were talking about how they can have these really large like mesh networks set up.
Oh.
Because like that,
No.
that to me has always been like the whole selling point of Sonos. Like if you have a mansion, you can control the sound in like 20 different rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, physically large.
All right. Well, I'll just.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
quit
still
that.
interesting.
Still a
I
good
did not
stat.
think at 9%.
That would be a
for
good.
Sonos.
That would be a good
And
trivia
I think that's
question.
crazy that arguably the biggest tech company in the U.S.
I wish that
is
was a
not even
trivia
breaking that
question.
market share.
Well, the best company in the
In
world.
2021.
Well, they did their thing.
Although I will say, like, was that HomePod just big HomePod?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, because Sonos had a lot of
probably-
products, and just big HomePod hitting 6% is still pretty
single
high.
product,
yeah,
yeah.
as a single product, is still pretty high.
It seems so. Like if I did a multiple choice and I wanted to ask myself before I knew the answer, I would say, what do you think Big HomePod peaked at? 0.5%, 1%,
I'd say like 3 is what I'd say.
6%, or 12%? And I'd be
Yeah.
like 0.5% for sure, maybe 1% at best. So it's 6% is high. Yeah, that's high.
Everyone make one beat. Everyone do one beat.
Wait, I need the mic to rap. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna go. Wait, slow it down just a little bit. Give me a fighting chance here.
Okay.
All right.
Wub, 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 wub.
Yo, I'm Ellis, and this was the pod.
Wub.
You didn't watch it live.
Wub.
It's now a
Wub.
VOD.
Wub.
You gotta make
Wub.
sure you
Wub.
like and subscribe.
Wub.
Man, this show is such a vibe. I said Adam.
Wub, wub, wub,
I said Adam.
wub, wub,
Like and subscribe. Thanks
Wub.
for watching.
wub, wub.
That's actually kind of sick.
I say we put it on iTunes.